Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monique. If you are watching for the first time, kindly do well to click on the red button below to subscribe. In these tutorials, we'll be learning how to make this 12 pieces bustier top with cycle collar. So let's get into it. I'll be using this Ankara fabric and a 2 yards of black crepe fabric. I'll be drafting it on a pattern paper before transferring it to the fabric. I took 1 inch on the center front for zipper allowance. I used the hip measurement divided by 4 plus 7 inches for seam allowance. On the top line, I'll take the shoulder width. The shoulder is 15 divided by 2 to give me 7.5. I added extra half an inch, that's 8 inches. And I'll take the neck width. The neck width, I'll be using 3 inches. And I'll also use 3 inches on the neck depth. So I'll go ahead and connect the neckline. Afterwards, I'll come down by 1 inch on the shoulder line. Then I'll connect it to the neck width for the shoulder slope. Then from this shoulder slope, I'll come down by 8 inches for the chest line. So I'm going to connect, from this point I'll take 9 inches. Then I'll connect it with a straight line. Then from this point, from this shoulder line, I'll take the shoulder to bust point. I'm using 11 inches. I'll take the shoulder to under bust. I'll be using 14 inches. I'll take the shoulder to waist. I'll use 17 inches. And the shoulder to full length, I'm using 27 inches. So I'm adding extra 2 inches for seam allowance. That will give me 29 inches. So I'll go ahead and connect all the lines. So I'll be connecting it horizontally like this. After doing this, I'm going to place so I'm just trying to mark out the chest line, bust line, under bust, waistline, and full length. So I'll take the shoulder width on the chest line. So the shoulder width is 8 inches. So I'll take a straight line from the shoulder to the chest line. Then from this point here, from the chest line, I'll come up by 3 inches. Then I'll come in by 0.75 here. Then I'll take a slant line from the shoulder width to this 0.75. Then I'll take the bust circumference. The bust circumference is 38 divided by 4 will give me 9.5. I'll add extra 1 inch for that and 2 inches for seam allowance. So what I wrote on the chest line, I'll repeat the same thing on the bust line. So have this. Then on the waist, the under bust, I beg your pardon, the under bust is 31 divided by 4 will give me 7.75. I'm adding 1 inch for that and 2 inches for seam allowance. And the waist is 32. Quarter of 32 will give me 8 inches. I'm adding 1 inch for that and 2 inches for seam allowance. Then on the full length, the hip is 42. 42 divided by 4 will give me 10.5. I'm adding 1 inch for that and 2 inches for seam allowance. So I'll repeat the same thing on the full length. Now I'll go ahead and connect all the lines. Now after doing that, I'll take the bust span. The bust span is 8 inches. Half of the bust span is 4. I'm adding extra half an inch, that is 4.5. So I'm taking it from the bust line to the full length. So this is our bust span line. So now on the under bust, I'll take 2 inches from the dart line here and mark it all the way down. This is our under bust dart intake. As you can see on the screen, I already placed the standard measurement for each body size, but for mine I'm using 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and take a straight line from the under bust all the way to the full length. Now after doing that, from the under bust, from this point I'll take a slant line to the bust line. That's from the under bust line. I'll connect it like this. Then from this bust line, that's this bust point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Then I'm going to connect it like this with a little slant line, like so. So now on the bust line here, I'm going to connect it to the midpoint of the armhole. So I forgot to take the armhole, so let me do that now. After doing that, I'm going to shape this cup. As you can see, it's a little bit sharp. So I'm going to use my pattern master to create the cup. So I'm starting from the under bust to the bust line. Then I'll also take it on this point with a little curve like so. As you can see, it's not too sharp. We've achieved what we want. So on the armhole line, that's on the midpoint of the armhole, I'll come out by 2 inches. And from this point, I'm going to come in by 1 inch because we are going to include another dart here to avoid gaping on the chest line. So I'll be eliminating this part out later. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to reshape the armhole. So I'll do that. Then afterwards, I'm going to remember this part is a dart, these 2 inches. We are going to take it out. So we might have shortage. So I'll replace the same 2 inches on the seam allowance. So I'm marking the 2 inches here. So after doing that, remember we are making a 12 pieces blouse. So this point, I'm going to divide this side front by 2. So I'm going to divide it into 2 equal half like this. So I'm following each line and dividing it equally. So after doing that, I'm going to take a straight line. Because we are making a 12 pieces blouse, we need three patterns on each side. So we'll be cutting this part out. So this is the first pattern, this is the second pattern, and this is the third pattern. So before cutting the front panel, I'm going to take another pattern paper for the back panel. So I'm going to mark the shoulder line here. I've already marked 1 inch for the zipper line, although we'll not be adding zipper to the back. Just to tighten the back to avoid bulge, I'll be taking the shoulder to back half length, and I'll be needing 16 inches. The shoulder to back half length is 16 inches. So from this 16 inches mark, I'm going to come in by 0.75. So to tighten the back to avoid bulge. So from this point, I'll slant it out to the top part of the pattern paper. Then afterward, I'll repeat the same thing. I'll slant it out to the bottom part of the pattern paper. This will just help us eliminate the bulge on the back pattern. Now I'll go back to the front panel. I'll be trimming it out. So let me trim it out and show you what I mean. So I'll cut out the center front. Then I'll eliminate these darts. And also this other one. So this is our front panel. So I'll be placing it on the back panel. So I'll make sure the center front and the center back are equal. And on the side front, I'll eliminate these bust parts so that it will not show on the back. But I'll make sure the hemline and the waistline are equal like this. So I'll fold this part out like this. I'm going to fold it in. Then I'm going to pin it up. This will just help us eliminate the cup on the front panel so that it doesn't show on the back. So I'll go ahead and cut it out exactly like this, but I add extra ½ inch on the back armhole. So I'll cut this out. So let me open it up and show you. So this is the back panel. We've eliminated the cup and we still have our cup on the front panel. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out this excess on the back, that's on the center back. This point that I told you we need to remove to avoid bulge. Now on the neckline, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and I'll connect it to the neck width. Remember, it's going to be 3 pieces on each side. So this is the center front and the center back. So now this part, I'm going to divide it into 2. Remember this line I took earlier. So I'll just cut it out so that it will show on the front and back. So now our pattern paper, or rather our patterns are complete. So now I'll be placing it on the fabric. So I folded the lining into 2. The lining is on a fold. So this is the back panel. I'll be cutting the back panel before cutting the front. So I'm marking the waistline. Remember the dress, we're making a peplum dress. It has a little flay on the side. So I'm using 3 inches on the hemline. I'm marking 3 inches on each side. So I'll take a straight line to meet the 3 inches. Then I'll take a slant line from the waistline here and connect it to the 3 inches I took for the flay. So I'll trace it out exactly like this and cut it out. Then I'll also do the same thing for the second pattern. So I'll take 3 inches on both sides, that is on the hemline. So I'll also mark 3 inches here. Then on the waistline, I'll take a straight line out like so. Then I'll take a slant line from the waist to the 3 inches mark on the hemline. I'll repeat the same thing here. So I'll be cutting it exactly like this on the lining. So you can also use more than 3 inches for the flare. I just prefer mine to be 3 inches. I don't want it too full. So this is the center front. On the zipper line here, I won't be adding flare here because it's going to have a zipper. Then I'll be adding flare on the side here. So I hope you understand. So I'll go ahead and cut it on the fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut them on the lining. So after doing that, I'll be cutting it on the main fabric now. On the front and back panel, we are adding a little style on it. We are adding black fabric on it. That's the black crepe fabric. So this is the Ankara and the black crepe fabric. So to achieve that, on the center front, this zipper line, I'm going to come out. That's after the zipper line, after the 1 inch mark. As you can see on the screen, if you notice, the center front has Ankara on it, and the side, the other side has black crepe. So this part that will be adding Ankara, I'll be using 1.5 inches all the way down. So I'll go ahead and mark a straight line. So I'll be cutting this part out. So I'll cut it on the lining. Let me show you. So this is the black crepe fabric. It's on a fold. So this is the lining. I've marked out the 1 inch. And sorry, I beg your pardon, the 1.5 inches. So I'll fold it in like this. I'll fold it in. So this part is going to be the black fabric. So I'll cut it exactly like this, but on the center front, I added 1/2 inch for seam allowance. Remember, for joining, so that we don't have shortage. So I added 1 inch here. This part I'm cutting out, I added 1/2 inch for seam allowance. Then after doing this, I'm going to open it up again, and I'll be using the Ankara fabric for the other side. So the Ankara fabric is on a fold. So this 1.5 inches mark I took, that's the part I want to cut out. So before then, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch for seam allowance. Then I'm going to place this 1.5 inch line on the 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to trace it out like this, following it from the neckline all the way to the full length. So we have this. So I'm going to cut the center front here. So we'll be adding the black pattern on it like this, as you can see. I hope you understand. So I've pinned it up. I'll be joining it later. So I'll go ahead and cut the side front. The Ankara fabric is on a fold. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. So after doing this, this is our front panel. Our front panel is complete, so I'll be cutting the back panel. But for the back panel, I had to, because it has a little curve because of the flare on the side here. So I won't be able to cut it the way I cut the front. So I placed it on a pattern paper and I marked 2 inches. I'm using 2 inches for this part. This part is going to be where the black plain fabric will be. So I traced it with my tracing wheel, and I traced exactly what I have here on the pattern paper. So as you can see, this is what I have. So this part will be the Ankara and this part will be the plain fabric. So I'll just trace it out and cut it out. So this is the pattern. I'll cut it on the fabric and show you. I'll be adding 1/2 inch for seam allowance on this point here, so that we don't have shortage. So this is the fabric. This is the plain fabric. That's the black fabric. I added 1/2 inch for seam allowance, and I did the same thing on the Ankara fabric. I also added 1/2 inch. So I've gone ahead to also cut out the other back pattern. That's the 2 sides. I've cut it out. So now I'll be joining the plain and the Ankara fabric together. So I'll do that and show you. So guys, I've added interfacing to all the pattern paper, rather the pattern. So I've also joined the black fabric and the Ankara together, as you can see. So this is the center front. This is the part I added interfacing. So I'll be joining it. I'll be joining the sides together. As you can see, these are all our patterns. So I'll be joining these 2 sides together first, then I'll come back and explain. So I'll be joining it by 1/2 inch. So I've done that. Now I'll be adding pad to this bust side here. So I'm going to mark from the chest line here. So this is the chest line. Then I'll also mark on the under bust here. So I'll just make a little curve on this side. So that's what I'll be using to trace the pad I'll be cutting. I'll be placing on the breast cup. So I've gone ahead to use the interfacing. I'll be using like about 4 patterns on the bust cup so that it will give us the pad effect. So I'm cutting out 4. So I'll be tracing it like this and I'll pin it up. Then I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. I'm using the interfacing as our pad. So I made it about 4 pads, or rather 4 panels. Then on the chest line, I'll also do the same thing. I'll take the chest line and I'll also mark it to the under bust line. So I'll also be cutting interfacing that I'll be adding on that part I marked. So I'm tracing the same thing on the other side. So as you can see, I've added interfacing to the part I marked. I repeated the same thing on the other side and on the center front. So I notched the bust point here, and also on this point I notched the bust point. So I'll be making sure they align here. And I'll pin it up. I'll be sewing it by 1/2 inch. So I'll start sewing it here by 1/2 inch all the way to the full length. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side and I'll show you when I'm done. So I've joined the sides together, as you can see, and I gave it a good press and I notched the seam allowance. Then I did a loose stitch on the center front. I'll be opening this later. I'll be attaching a zipper here, but I'll do that later. So this is the wrong side. So now I'll be sewing the back panel. So this is the patterns. So this is the center back and these are the sides. So this is our 6 pieces panel on the back, the same thing as the front. So I'll be joining them together here, good side to good side, and I'll sew it by 1/2 inch. I'll repeat the same thing on the center back. For the center back, I'll be sewing it by 1 inch because we left 1 inch for seam allowance. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll be sewing it by 1/2 inch. So I'll do that and come back and show you. So I've joined the center back. So this is the center back. That's the 1 inch mark and the 2 sides. So now I also went ahead to join the lining. So this is the lining. This is the front panel. So this is the zipper allowance on this front panel. That is for the lining. Then this is the back panel. I've also gone ahead to join it like I did for the main fabric. So now the next thing I'll be doing is to attach the zipper to the front panel. I'll open this up. So I told you I did a loose stitch. So this is the zipper I'll be using for the dress. So I'm going to open this up. So I'll be attaching the zipper to this point here, this crease line. So I'll turn it over good side to good side and I'll be sewing it here like this. I'll be sewing it very close to that line. I'll sew it all the way to the end of the dress. So I'm going to stop here. I'm leaving 2 inches for seam allowance. So next thing I'll do is to start fixing the zipper. I'll come down by 1/2 inch here before fixing the zipper. Afterwards, I'll join this other part and I'll show you. So I've done that. So this is the wrong side. So this is our zipper. Then this is the good side. Now I'll be joining the front and back together. I'll be joining it on the shoulder. So I'll be sewing it by 1/2 inch here, good side to good side. I'll make sure it's aligning. Then I'll sew it and I'll show you. So I've done that. I've joined the front and back together. Then the next thing I'm going to do, I'll be attaching this trimming to the top. You can use any kind of trimming you desire. This is what I could get. So I'll be placing it on the armhole dart. On this point, I'll be placing it and I'll stitch on top of it. I'll do that to the full length. I'll do it on the other side. I'll place it here on the dart line. Then I'll repeat the same thing on the back. I'll be fixing it on this dart line. I'll fix it on the other side also. Then I'll also be sewing it on the shoulder. That's the center of the shoulder line, and I'll stop at the bust point. So I've done that, as you can see. So I stitched it from the dart line all the way to the end. Then I placed this point here and I stitched it from to the shoulder all the way to the back. I placed it all the way to the back and stopped here. Then I top stitched this other one on it. So that was how I fixed it. So now I'll be opening the zip. I'll be attaching the lining on the center front here. That's on this seam allowance on the zipper here. So good side to good side. I'll place it from the neckline. That's the neckline of the main fabric and the neckline of the lining. I'll start sewing it very close to the zip. So I'll top stitch it there. I'll pin it up and show you. So I'll be sewing it, then when I'm done, we'll have something like this. So I'll repeat the same thing on the other side of the front, then I'll show you. So I've joined the lining to the center front of the zipper and I turned it to the good side. I did the same thing here. Then I also joined the lining on the shoulder. I joined it by 1/2 inch. That's front and back lining. I joined the shoulder together. Then now I'll be joining the front and back together. That's the main fabric. I'll be joining them, the side seam. So I'll just go ahead and check my accurate measurement, and I'll be sewing the excess I have. So like I said, I'll take the accurate measurement and I'll sew it. Then I'll be joining fabric to fabric and lining to lining. So good side to good side. So this is the lining. I'll be sewing it out, but before then I'll just go ahead and mark it. So this is the excess I have after taking my accurate measurement. So that is what I marked. On this side with flay, I'll be sewing it by 1/2 inch after I get to this point. So this is the lining also. I'll do the same thing, then I'll sew here by 1/2 inch. So guys, I've done that. I've joined the side seam together. So let me open it up and show you. So this is the lining. I used it to turn it inside. So like I said, I did lining to lining. So this is the side seam of the lining. So now I also went ahead to top stitch the lining and the fabric on the neckline so that we'll have one piece. So I top stitched it. Then I'm going to cut out the excess here for the zipper. I'll cut out this excess. Then I'll measure the neckline we have here. I'll measure it. That's what we'll be using to cut out our cycle collar. So I have around 22 inches here. So I'll be using it to cut out the collar. So this is the cycle collar. I already have a video on how to draft a cycle collar. I won't be showing you on this video in order for us to save time. I'll be dropping the link on the description box so you can check it out and see how to cut out a cycle collar. So I've placed it on another fabric, so I'll be tracing exactly what I have here. So I've sewn the collar. So this is what we have. Like I said, I have a video on how to make this, so I'll be dropping it on the description box. So this is the wrong side. I added interfacing to it. So I'm going to get the center point of this collar. So this is the center. So I'll start sewing it from this center, the center of the main fabric. So I'm going to pick one of the collar and I'll be fixing it from the wrong side of the neckline. So I'll sew it all the way to the other end of the neckline. Afterwards, I'm going to turn the second collar. I'll use it to top stitch it in. So I'll do that and show you. So guys, I've fixed the collar. So this is the back. We'll fix our collar. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'll just open this up. I'll be joining the lining and the fabric together on the hemline. So I'll turn it over good side to good side. I made the lining 1 inch shorter than the main fabric. So I'll be joining them together here. As you can see, I'll be turning it like this and I'll sew it by 1 inch all the way. So after joining the hemline, I'll be cutting the sleeve. I'll times the armhole by 2. The armhole is 16. 16 times 2 will give us 32. So 32 divided by 2 will give us 16. So I'm placing the 16 inches here. Then from this line, I'm going to come down by 5 inches. The fabric is on a fold. So I'll mark the 5 inches here. Then from this 5 inches mark, I'll also take the 16 inches. Like I said, I times the armhole by 2. So I'll just go ahead and just create a random slant line for the sleeve. Remember, it's bigger than the usual sleeve because I want to pleat it. So I doubled the armhole. So from this point, I'll take the length of the sleeve. The length of the sleeve is 12 inches. So I'll mark it out. So I'll cut it out. This is me just using a free hand to cut out the sleeve because I know I'm going to pleat it out. So I'll be cutting out 2. So I'll be pleating this side. Remember I said I times the armhole by 2 to cut it out. The armhole is 16. I made it 32 inches. So I'll also cut out the band, another band on the hemline. So I folded it into 2. Then I'm going to mark the width. That's the sleeve width. So the sleeve width is 6 inches. Then that is the sleeve width is 12 divided by 2. It will give me 6 inches. I added extra 1 inch. Then the length I will be using 5 inches. Then I'll add 1 inch for seam allowance. So that is 6 by 5 on a fold. So I'll cut it out. So when I open it up, I have about 12 inches. Remember I said it's on a fold. I cut it by 6 inches. So when I open it up, I have around 12 inches. So I'll be sewing this side by 1 inch. So let me pin it up and explain what I mean. So I'll sew here by 1 inch. Then I'll fold it in like this. I'll turn it to the good side and I'll fold it so that it will be doubled like this. So when I double it, I have 6 inches. I just do it like this so that it will have a neat finishing. So we'll have something like this. So I'll be placing it on the top sleeve. So I'm going to pleat this part here to size the band on the sleeve. So I'll be sewing it and I'll show you when I'm done. I hope you understand. So I'll go ahead and sew it and show you. So I've joined the hemline on the top. That is the lining and the fabric together. I've joined the hemline by 1 inch. So I turned it from the armhole. So let me show you what I did. So as you can see, this is where I stitched. I stitched it by 1 inch all the way to the end. Then I turned it out from the armhole. So we have this. So as you can see, it's already giving us the neat finishing. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to fix the sleeve. So this is the peplum on the lower side. So I've joined the sleeve. So this is where I joined on the band and I pleated it to fit the band. So this is the second sleeve. So I'll be joining it now. I'll be pleating the top part to size the armhole. So I'll make sure it tallies, that is the side seam, then I'll tuck it in. Then I'll start sewing it on the armhole by pleating it. So I'll pleat the excess I have. Remember, I timed the armhole by 2 to cut out the sleeve. So I'll do that and show you. So guys, I've stitched the sleeve on the armhole. So we have this. So this is where I pleated. This is the other sleeve. This is where I pleated round the armhole. So our dress is complete. So this is the sleeve. We've fixed our collar and we've hemmed the lower part. So we've come to the end of this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe and share. Thanks for watching and see you in my next video.